Collingwood's in a really fascinating position. We know from a salary cap perspective, their hands have really been tied.
They have.
2020, you go back to Adam Treloar, of course, Brodie Grundy, but they're about to get very active.
They are, and it's really exciting from a Collingwood perspective that they've got a $5 million salary cap saving to come over the next 18 months. Now, they've got that's exciting for the club. They've got 9 players over 30, Jay, and they're expecting that probably half of that group will probably be retired within the next 18 months to 2 years. That leaves at least 4.5, maybe even a bit more, $5 million to come in to be able to spend. And I can tell you now, it won't be trading. It'll be free agency. The Pies think they've actually given too much away in the past in terms of their first-round picks. They've given up 6 first-round picks over the last decade. 6.
A lot.
Adding to that, Ollie Henry, who was a first-round pick who got traded to Geelong. They didn't want to trade him. Now, they're not going to retire these guys willy-nilly. They're not going to try and throw these guys out. They're legends of the game. But what they are going to do is they're going to save a lot of money and they're going to really attack the free agency period.
Macca, it's been a really tough premiership defence so far. We're over there drinking the Kool-Aid in Adelaide over the weekend with Gather Round. Spoke to a really senior Collingwood official and they said, we were so lucky to win this premiership. Now, you know, the 3 single-figure margins, there's so many really narrow wins across the season there. Nick Dacos comes back at the right time, not diminishing that premiership in any way. Then I went to Mount Barker, 15 top 10 picks between GWS and Gold Coast. So, look, do you feel like this is a concession from this club that, not sure if we can win it, but we absolutely know this. We haven't got enough talent for the next few years.
I think you're right about that. I think they want more talent, not just top-end talent, and that's what they're going to go through with that free agency. They're going to really... and I think you're looking at, maybe not this year, you're looking at 2025, you're looking at the pre-agents and just a few names that's off the top of your head. Like
who would they be going for? What do you think
they want everywhere. They want every part of the ground, whether it be forward, a big-bodied mid, and they want a key defender, a generational-style defender. But you're looking at Oscar Allen coming out at the end of next year. You know, Harrison Petty, Sam Taylor. The one who interests me is Luke Davies-Uniacke, which is the big-body midfielder that could potentially look...
pillage North Melbourne, are they?
Of course they will. That's what we do in AFL football. But, Ralphie, as far as the younger kids go, they feel like the top-end talent in terms of their kids, they've got the best in the game. They've got Nick Dacos, let's be honest. Isaac Quainer is a star, absolute star. Bo McCreary's a premiership player, we know that. From that part, you look down further from that, we don't know how good
we keep hearing that we're going to get these blokes in and then we see Reef McGuinness, Finn McRae, Ash Johnson comes and goes.
Harvey Harrison, there's a lot of rap about Harvey Harrison as well, but they don't know how good these guys are. Let's be honest, Collingwood haven't won back-to-back flags in nearly 90 years. That's a lot. I'm fairly old, Ralphie, but I'm not a 90. I don't remember back to that. So the bottom line is they are looking for top-end talent and they won't give up. They've obviously given up one this year already. So you've got Lockie Schultz, who won't be there. Lockie Schultz. Sorry, Jay.
There was a future first-round pick, so that's another one they're giving up. So they want to take that young and talent potentially with the draft. You mentioned the 9-30-year-olds. I'm interested in that because Steele Sidebottom, I feel, is someone who maybe could make a decision later in the year about whether he wants to play on or not. You spoke to him at the weekend. What did he say about his future?
I was a little bit surprised because I think we all thought that the consensus was that he would probably retire at the end of this year. He's had an amazing career. Second...
a goal in the grand final.
Goal in the grand final. That's 6 games ago, Clarkie. 6 games ago. He wants to play on. He absolutely wants to play on. He thinks he's good enough to play on next year. He's open to play different roles. He's comfortable about playing forward.
He's an amazing sub because you can put him anywhere, basically.
You could. He doesn't love the sub role, I've got to say. He's not a fan of the sub role. But he's an amazing forward. We've seen him play forward on occasions and know where the goals are. He wants to play on.
I think that would be a mistake. I spoke to Jeremy Howe. He's got a 16-game clause. I think Pendlebury and Howe will play on. Look, I know that what Howe said, he goes, it's up to us. We've had these honest conversations. We look at Geelong with Chris Scott. We look at Alistair Clarkson. We look at Damien Hardwick. You forcefully retire some of those players across the way. So Pendles and co play on. Clarkie, what do you think? Who are some of the players you think that they could get in?
Well, I'm interested when you say they don't want to give up their first-round draft picks because we know Nick Dacos is spending a lot of time with Bailey Smith. Now, Bailey Smith from the Western Bulldogs, we know Geelong is really interested. He would be one I would give up a first-round draft pick for. We know they don't have one this year.
I was going to say, how do you do it? You have to give a future first round, which they've said, and Ralphie and I spoke to a lot of senior Collingwood people over the weekend. They don't want to give up any more.
You mortgage your future, Clarkie, if that's the case. You know, you just
don't want to do that.
It's the old Gubby Allen. We just keep trading away or keep front-ending contracts as well, or back-ending contracts.
I reckon the Cats would give their future first-round pick for Bailey Smith in a heartbeat, and I think Collingwood potentially would do the same. Off-field is interesting too. We mentioned Graham Wright on last week's show. He's spoken to the AFL potentially about his future. He's in New York City eating deep dish pizza at the moment.
Is there an AFL team in New York? Where do you think he's most likely? Just put your $5 on it.
Well, Tasmania need to build a list.
Tasmania,
don't they? He's from East Devonport.
Yes.
Tasmanian.
He's in the Tasmania Hall of Fame. He would be the perfect figurehead. So Brendan Gale, we've been talking about as a potential CEO. Leaves Richmond, goes to Tassie. If he needs a list man, I just wonder whether the AFL would love to shoehorn Graham Wright into that role.
I think Collingwood are worried that he's not coming back, and if he does come back, it'd be a short window of the trade free agency period.
Yep.
Let's just say Craig Kelly will be very close in terms of any of these discussions going on into the future.
What about at Gold Coast, the salary cap situation there? A few out-of-contract players, John. I feel like a lot of players have left. There's been a big talent drain.
Yep.
Can Dimma get them to stay?
I think he can. A lot of speculation around about Jack Lukosius over the weekend. So they played him forward. That wasn't working after 40 goals. Threw him back. Gary Lyon said he's the next step out the door. The coach hasn't fallen out of love with him. I've made enough calls here. They certainly would like him to be more rugged in the contest, something that we all failed the test on in our junior days.
Strong suit.
He wants his forwards to play with that contested style. You bang it in long, you stand under the high ball as Jed Walter has done. So he'll play half back, and they've been looking for that, Whitfield type. It means they're probably going to have to play 5 talls. Joel Jeffrey is the one that he signed to 2028. I think clubs are looking at. I mean, you can't play 6 tall defenders, you can't play 4 tall forwards. Ben Ainsworth, I think, wants to stay as a free agent. If he's prepared to stay on about $600 a year, which is still great money, that's great. If he wants 800, it's probably Tatar. And Matt Rowell and Charlie Ballard, both out next year.
What's he worth, Matt Rowell? What's he worth? Like he's got.
It's funny money, isn't it?
It starts with a 1.1.
Yeah, it's probably 1.2 to stay, and it's 1.6 to go. And like all these boys, it's a delicate ecosystem. They all love it up there. They're all staying in houses they bought. So you just keep your absolute mega stars, and like Carlton, if you have to trade some okay players out, you just bring the kids in and you keep the stars.
I feel like the tide has turned at Gold Coast, to be honest. A long time of people or clubs attacking their top players. I think they're more likely to re-sign, but the big watch on those guys. What about, speaking of South Australians, at Adelaide, John, because they're a club who probably needs some more bang, some more power, some more A-grade talent, particularly in that midfield.
And right now as well, yeah. So we spoke to Adam Kelly as part of the Thursday Night Football coverage, and he said, yep, we're active. We're prepared to give up this year's first rounder. We're prepared to give up next year's first rounder as well. Yep. Wow. If the right opportunity presents. Of course, they took Daniel Curtin, so they can afford to trade off those first rounders. It's fascinating because it may well be a top 4 or 5 pick. Now, remember how Gold Coast were able to use pick 4 and just get 7 billion points last year? Now, they had academy players. But I think there's so many clubs out there who have key position players or, say, 26 or 27-year-old midfielders who want to get into this draft. They love the kids. They've seen Horne-Francis. We need megastar midfielders. So I think they're the wild cards of the 2024 draft because if you're prepared to trade out quality picks, every list manager in town's thinking, OK, I'll just go to the drawing board and I'll see if I might be able to move a player in your direction.
Well, Adelaide sounded like they wanted to be aggressive last year when they dangled the carrot in front of Clayton Oliver. So with 2 first-round picks, you think they'd be able to get him. It's a good talent. Fremantle got 3 first-round picks, so they'll be active in this year's trade period, of course.